Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Brigadier General David S. Doyle and Command Sergeant Major Michael C. Henry, Commander and Command Sergeant Major of the Joint Readiness Training Center in Fort Polk, welcome to our Veterans Day celebration. We would like to acknowledge our distinguished guests, Mayor Lewing of Anacoco, Mayor Clanton of DeRidder, Mayor Todd of New Llano, Mayor Duval of Rosepine, Mayor Standifer of Simpson, and Sergeant Major Army Retired Gates. And we are honored to have Mr. Gates, a veteran of World War II. Please stand for the invocation given by Chaplain Kenneth Godwin and remain standing for the national anthem performed by our Leesville High School band.
Good morning. I invite you to pray with me. Almighty Heavenly Father, on this sacred day when we pause to acknowledge our veterans and their many sacrifices, we pray that every veteran of our nation's armed forces feel truly and appropriately honored by the attention and appreciation of their fellow citizens. Let none, not one, feel forgotten or neglected. May every man and woman, young or old, feel the deep and enduring gratitude of our nation and its inhabitants. And we ask finally that this ceremony will not just show honor to our veterans, but also that it will be in keeping with the great traditions of our armed forces and our great nation. Through Christ I pray, amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mark Leslie, Directorate of Plans, Training, Mobilization, and Security.
First, let me say how humbled and honored I am to be standing here today representing all of you, the American veteran. I'd like to thank General Doyle and Command Sergeant Major Henry for allowing me this opportunity to do so. Less than 7% of a nation of roughly 332 million people have served in uniform. To me, that makes that less than 7% a special class of American citizen. Veterans are the ones who are willing to put their lives on the line, the prosperity of their families, and endure the less than predictable lifestyle of the military for the rest of the nation. The veteran is a special kind of citizen that expects nothing in return but the acknowledgement and respect from a citizenry that at times seeks ignorant of their sacrifice and apathetic to their contributions. But that apathy is absent here in our part of Louisiana. We're blessed to be in a special place and have parish partners that respect and honor the sacrifice of the American veteran. I served in the Army for 30 years as a soldier. I feel that I've been blessed beyond what I deserve for this privilege to serve with soldiers and veterans for an entire lifetime. I'm a veteran of Operation Just Cause in Panama, Desert Shield and Desert Storm, Iraqi Freedom, and Enduring Freedom. I'm not one of the veterans that say all the heroes I know are dead, because they're not. I know plenty of true life heroes. I serve with many of them. Many of them are right here at Fort Polk. Guys like your next speaker, Sergeant Major retired Matt West, who knew me when I was a young private, NCO, and officer. Our Deputy G3, Major retired Kirk Mayfield, a Silver Star recipient, who's so humble that he's going to be mad at me for mentioning this when it's over. Nate Evans, my own Chief of Plans that was horrifically wounded in Iraq. Dusty Andrews, my Chief of Operations, who fought the silent Latin American wars of the 80s with Special Forces. Bobby Lundgren, who spent a lifetime as an MP and then now serving as the Chief of Police for Fort Polk. And Ray Ragusa, my Airfield Tower Chief, who humped the hills of Afghanistan and fought in Operation Anaconda as an infantryman, to name just a few. Your next speaker will talk of the sacrifice of the veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, so I will focus my comments on the veterans of Just Cause and Desert Storm and give you some insight on their contributions. I was privileged to come in the Army in the mid-'80s. Our ranks were full of veterans of Operation Urgent Fury and Grenada and sprinkled with more than a few Vietnam veterans. To us, the uninitiated, they were the gods of war. They had been in the mouth of the lion and survived, and when they spoke, we listened. When they moved in the woods, we watched. I recall spitting too loud in a huddle with my platoon sergeant in the middle of the night on some long-forgotten training exercise at Fort Bragg. My platoon sergeant, a decorated Vietnam veteran, gave me a slap on the backside of my head and told me in a very strong whisper that if I ever spit that loud in the jungle again, I'll kill you if they don't. At first, I was kind of perplexed. We're in the pine trees in North Carolina, and I didn't know who this they he was talking of were. Eventually, I figured it out. I've had a lot of time in combat. In fact, in my 30 years, I rarely missed a war. But Panama, Operation Just Cause, is special. It was my initiation in the life of a real infantryman. It was the largest combat operation, our largest airborne operation since World War II, and we experienced the true reality of war. Minutes of extreme adrenaline rush, interrupted by hours of endless walking and boredom. But the considerable investment was worth the end stake, the removal of a brutal dictator. This year, 20 December, will mark the 32nd anniversary of Just Cause. While long ago, that experience shaped me and many others, I'm sure, for a lifetime. In Desert Storm, I was a unit full of special men. It was a different kind of war, but one with a clear end state and objective demanded by our senior military leaders. Desert Storm was not a war without hardship, and we experienced our share of it. As a result, we learned a lot about ourselves, each other, and got to witness true leadership and selfless service. The point of these recollections is the point of Veterans Day. Veterans Day is about the living veteran and those that we serve with. Veteran as a family is not blood by birth, but one forged through shared hardship. I ask that when you see a veteran today, take a moment to think, that man with gray hair and weathered face may look past his prime, and we likely are. But they are a part of that 7% that willingly volunteered to defend America. In doing so, he lost his youth, his innocence, likely friends, and with few regrets. There's no greater feeling than to be part of something larger than oneself. And I think that's what being a veteran is all about. Thank you for allowing me this privilege to represent all of you on this Veterans Day. I'm proud of being a veteran. I'm proud of you, my fellow veterans, not because of my minuscule individual service, accomplishments, or contributions, nor yours. I'm proud of what we contributed and accomplished together. That is what makes being a soldier so special. To all of you, from the bottom of my heart, I respect you. I wish you a happy Veterans Day, and I salute you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Belinda Hill, Senior Vice Commander, State of Louisiana, Disabled American Veterans.
Thank you. During Desert Storm, I volunteered I was a reservist and I volunteered for active duty. I felt a calling during that time frame. And when I volunteered, I was put on recruiting duty, stationed here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. During that time, there was a big need to fill the foxholes for the soldiers that were at war. And I stayed on recruiting duty for 6 years, and then I went on to work as a guidance counselor, not only filling the foxhole, but qualifying young men and women for their jobs and placing them in severe career opportunities. And as I look around this room today, I'm so blessed to just see so many young people here. I thank you all for your service. I know that's something that you hear, and it's like a cliche, you know, that everybody's thanking everybody for their service. But indeed, you all, it's an honor to just see you all still serving and proudly serving, and just to see so many young people. But thank you all. Thank you all for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matthew West, G3 Chief of Operations.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. General Doyle, sir, thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak here today. I was told that we have 3 to 5 minutes to speak, and I think somebody forgot to put a 0 on there, so please get comfortable. My name is Matt West, and I am an American veteran. I spent 26 years in uniform and still, even now, serve my country as a DA civilian. Additionally, I continue to serve the veteran community as a life member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and the Disabled American Veterans. Just in the previous and current century, from 1901 to 2021, our nation has been involved in some type of conflict in every one of those decades. I was asked to speak about Operation Enduring and Iraqi Freedom timeframe. After the cowardly attacks on U.S. soil that accounted for 2,977 of our citizens, we began the global war on terror. The U.S. government used the term Operation Enduring Freedom to officially describe the war in Afghanistan, from the period between 7 October 2001 until 31 December 2014. Subsequent operations in Afghanistan by the United States military forces, both non-combat and combat, occurred under the name Operation Freedom's Sentinel. The United States Department of Defense lists 2,461 service members as having died in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Freedom Sentinel. Of those, 1,926 were due to hostile action, 535 to non-hostile. Of those killed, 60 were confirmed to have died in Africa, Southeast Asia, or Cuba in support of OEF Horn of Africa, that's Operation Enduring Freedom Horn of Africa, Operation Enduring Freedom Philippines, and Operation Enduring Freedom Trans-Sahara. Thus, a total of 2,401 United States service men and women were killed in the war in Afghanistan. There were over 20,000 service members wounded in Afghanistan. Iraqi freedom took place 19 March 2003 through 15 December 2011. The 2003 invasion of Iraq was led by U.S. Army General Tommy Franks under the code name Operation Iraqi Freedom. The UK code name was Operation Telek, and the Australian code name was Operation Falconer. Coalition forces also cooperated with the Kurdish Peshmerga forces in the north. Approximately 40 other governments, the Coalition of the Willing, participated in providing troops, equipment, services, security, special forces with 248,000 soldiers from the United States, 45,000 from the British soldiers, 2,000 Australian soldiers, and 194 Polish soldiers from their special unit called the GROM that were sent to Kuwait for the invasion. The invasion was also supported by Iraqi Kurdish military troops, estimated to be numbered in upward of 70,000. The invasion was quick and decisive operation, encountering major resistance, though not what the U.S., British, and other forces expected. The Iraqi regime had prepared to fight both a conventional and irregular asymmetric warfare at the same time, conceding territory when faced with superior conventional forces, largely armored, but launching small-scale attacks in the rear using fighters dressed in civilian and paramilitary clothing. In the invasion of the war, that 19 March to 30 April, an estimated 9,200 Iraqi combatants were killed by coalition forces. Coalition forces reported death in combat of 139 U.S. military personnel and 33 United Kingdom military. Throughout the next 10 years, we would end up losing 4,279 more U.S. forces due to hostile and non-hostile deaths, with almost 32,000 wounded. Now, as I've discussed these two major conflicts and talk about the dead and the wounded, we do have to remember that Veterans Day is for all veterans, both living and dead. Although there have been many deployed to various countries throughout the world, not all service members were deployed in harm's way. So what is a veteran? Is it only someone that served in combat? Or someone that gave their life while serving? No. The federal definition of a veteran is any person who served honorably on active duty in the armed forces of the United States. The United States veteran, whether active duty, discharge, retired, or reserve, is someone who, at one point in their life, wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including their life. Just because someone never had the opportunity to deploy to combat or overseas in a contingency operation does not diminish their service. If you raised your right hand and swore to defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and served more than 180 days of active duty service, you are a veteran. So today, as we celebrate Veterans Day, find a veteran, thank them for their service, and be proud that you have people in this nation, the greatest nation on earth, that are, have, or were willing to step up to defend her. God bless each and every one of you. God bless the United States Armed Forces, and God bless America. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the Commanding General of the Joint Readiness Training Center in Fort Polk, Brigadier General David S. Doyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, our mayors from the community, Ms. Turner, Sergeant Major of the Army Gates, Mr. Gates, fellow commanders, and veterans all, thank you for joining us here for our Fort Polk Veterans Day ceremony. A special thanks to 15 Aviation hosting us today in their magnificent hangar with a wonderful backdrop of Army aviation ready to fight and win. We appreciate Ms. Hill, Mr. Leslie, and Mr. West for sharing their stories with us today. Providing a platform for veterans, service members, and family members to share their stories honors their voices, helps amplify their experience, and lets them know that we as a nation listen to them and care. Today, we celebrate Veterans Day and recognize all who have served our nation with honor and distinction. The Army's people are its greatest strength, and taking care of them is ensuring that we are ready to fight and win our nation's war as we are required as a top priority. So for nearly a century, we have celebrated Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended fighting along the Western Front in World War I. This year, we also commemorate another event that happened as a result of World War I, and that was the creation of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington National Cemetery. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the tomb, which is a reminder of the ultimate sacrifice that some of our veterans were called to make, and shows our nation's debt to those who have served with honor. In 1938, 6 years after the completion of the final design of the tomb, Congress made Armistice Day an official annual national holiday. In 1954, the commemoration was renamed as Veterans Day. While Memorial Day is a time to remember those who died in the service of their country, Veterans Day is designed to remember all who have served, past and present. So each year across the country, we celebrate and pay honor to Americans' veterans for their devotion, patriotism, and selfless service on behalf of our nation. Throughout this past year here locally, we also conducted events that emphasized our history and contributions as Fort Polk. By recognizing the contributions of the service members and community leaders who have supported Fort Polk, we connect our history with those who are serving on the installation today. Camp Polk was established on January 10th, 1941, now called Fort Polk, has served as a venue to train millions of veterans to fight and win our nation's wars. Following their service to the country, thousands of our veterans who have trained and served at Camp Polk or Fort Polk have left the camouflage uniform of their military service and rejoined our local communities. Each veteran took responsibility to help a new community, bringing their military values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage to their workplace and their public interactions. These veterans who joined their communities found new responsibilities as Little League baseball coaches, as teachers, as local business leaders, members of the city government, and as police officers, firemen, and our neighbors. So today, we honor the 22 million living veterans in the United States of America. These service members who never thought of themselves as brave or special, but were individuals who rendered honorable service to a noble profession. Every man or woman who's worn America's uniform is part of this long, unbroken line of achievement and honor. No single power in our world history has done greater good, shown greater courage, liberated more people, or upheld higher standards of decency and valor than the armed forces of the United States of America. There's no mystery behind the endurance and the success of our American liberty. It exists because every generation from the Revolutionary period to this very day has had brave Americans who've stepped forward to serve honorably in the armed forces of the United States. Every one of them and every one of you deserves the thanks and admirations of our country. So regardless of the military branch in which our veterans have served, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, the Marines, or the Coast Guard, this day belongs to them. Generations of patriots have dedicated themselves to the defense of our country to make us stronger and more resilient as a nation. The efforts of our veterans have protected our citizens and allowed the United States to maintain our freedom. We are thankful for their service across different generations. So may we never forget how special it is to live in this nation that has been defended by veterans, each brave citizen a volunteer, each brave citizen dedicated to the nation, each brave citizen dedicated to the idea of liberty. God bless our veterans. God bless the United States of America, and thank you for being here today. Airborne, people first, forging the warrior spirit.
At this time, Brigadier General Doyle and Command Sergeant Major Henry, assisted by Fort Polk Sergeant Audie Murphy member, Staff Sergeant Ruben Forna of Operations Group, will now lay the installation wreath in honor of all veterans who have served since our founding. A nation of free people from coast to coast and beyond are forever in your debt. We ask that all service members please stand as your service song is played. Please stand at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Please feel free to mingle and renew old friendships or make a few new ones. All veterans are also reminded that they are invited to enjoy a special Veterans Day meal at 3rd Brigade 10th Mountain Patriot Restaurant. We hope to see you there. Thank you for your attendance and thank you for your service. Please drive safely and have a great Team Polk Day.